Hey everyone, welcome to this very early in the morning without coffee, books, and brew. I am doing the beginning right now solo as my co-host is getting ready. What do you want? We got our cats roaming around. You can definitely see one over there. Should do an intro. Hi, I'm Mike. Welcome to Arcane Focus, and this is Books and Brew, where we talk about generally anything, whether we're building maps, talking about monsters, sub-races, subclasses, classes, magical items, and anything of the sort when it comes to Dungeons and Dragons. Today, considering it is 4th of July, we're repping all those colors in the sky with fireworks. I wanted to talk about a creature that has an equal amount of colors and subraces and just diversity, and that is the hag. For those who don't know what a hag is, essentially you can break it down as that is a very, like an old spindly grandmother. Think of when I think it's like the old queen, or I forgot her name, the White Queen from Sleeping Beauty, or no, Snow White, and what she turns into. That old classic storybook face of an old woman, long nose with warts on it, gangly teeth, white hair that's matted and pulled to the back, long, thin limbs that reach out to like long fingers, hunched over. Overall, and the way the book describes hags is that they're basically gross in the inside and the outside. They are fey creatures, if you're ever wondering. So they do come from the Feywild, or at least that's where they generally originate from. So they originated from there, and then when they go to the material plane, there's different ways that a hag can be created. Well, I should also mention they can also come from the lower planes as well. So there's a bunch of different interesting things you can do with hags. For one, generally hags have innate magic abilities. So if you're looking for someone who's not only, sort of chaotic, definitely an evil, who can mess with a town, players, a country, a continent, a hag is a good way to go. Not only are they basically immortal, they can plan, they can sit, they can wait, they'll make deals, they'll go back on those deals. Hags are very interesting characters, or at least creatures to include in your game. Well, let's go ahead and talk about when it comes to, I would say, how hag is created, because there are a lot of interesting ways. One famous story that people say when hags get created is they will abduct a baby. I know, we're getting real dark. They'll abduct a baby. So I'm gonna go and paint a picture for you. So imagine a normal family enjoying their time. They put their baby out in the crib and they put him into their own baby room and they go to sleep. A hag will see this, slowly stalk into the bushes, and then when it comes to the dead of night, when everyone's asleep, including the baby, they'll come in, break in magic abilities, take the baby, and run back to their hut, in which they will invoke a ritual where they would essentially input their life force into this child, or essentially they would kill the child and make sort of a replica of the child, putting a bit of their essence. So they would then go back to the family, return the baby, and the baby will actually grow up to be as it was supposed to be, a normal, loving child, growing up during their adolescence until they hit their 16th birthday, which is when the hag trait starts to come out, and then I'm assuming you can get dark with it if you're of a DM. You can definitely say that they kill their family and they leave to go to the forest to become a hag. They go through a metamorphosis. And there's some other ways that people have said that, or at least the books and lore talk about how hags can be created. Hags can find other ways to reproduce beyond the conventional means. There are tales of bizarre means where hags, they are spawned from animals, specific animals that are born a certain way. So maybe a cow with venomous milk, or snake eggs that are kissed by a virgin. There's all these, like, you can get creative with it. Some of them are created by artifacts, or incubated within coffins, or they are being poured out of a cauldron of boiling blood. There are so many ways that a hag can be created, and it's so open for DMs and just creators altogether that you can make a story where a hag is born from literally anything, and you can tie it to a person's backstory. So an idea, I'll say this for my first draft. If you guys are not keeping up with our main campaign, it is Magic at Mosted. We stream every Saturday at 2 p.m. We're about 30 sessions in now. Or I think we just finished the 29th one, so we're about to get 30 sessions in. One of the players, one of their backstories was that their entire town, only the men were suffering from the sort of yearly disease that put him out of commission for an entire month, and it was horrible. Essentially, it was I created this disease before COVID, and it became a little like COVID. It was weird. So my first draft was that, well, I wanted to make it something where some sort of presence is only attacking the males. My first draft was it was going to be hag, and it could have been from anything. It could have been the swamps were boiling too hot, and out popped a hag. And it was in connection with a swamp land and a farmland that was nearby, and the hag was mistreated by the all-male house of this farmland, and then she, went on to a revenge plot of just sort of destroying the males, as much as she can. I'm happy I didn't go with that. I kind of like the more simplistic route that I went with a succubus being sort of corrupted, or being in a way divine to an evil god. But yeah, I mean, hags can be used in all sorts of ways. Back in our non-streamed first campaign, which we've talked about on the channel for a while now, Magic at Mosted, that made use of hags aplenty. Sea hags, to be more specific. I had a trio of sea hags that all had different like aquatic themes. We had one sea hag that was just, her hair and everything was just seaweed. We had another one who had claw hands, like a crab. We had another one that was very tall and lanky and sort of very spindly, and would give off like this electric shock, like an electric eel. And then the first sea hag that my players ever ran into was just a standard sea hag, kind of hunched over, dripping, skin looking like if it's been in the water for ages and is starting to peel off. And you can get really gross with hags altogether. Essentially they are the very much grossest depictions of just a humanoid altogether, that it can be very interesting and very creepy for your players. If they're facing a hag, they must have done something, or they've been tasked to do something very, very crazy. I don't want to talk about all of the hags that are available, but I can definitely talk about, give an honorable mention to a few hags that were available in 4th edition, and 3rd edition, mainly because I believe that 5e has introduced a few hags that kind of already cover some aspects of what we're about to talk about. A lot of what 4th edition and 3rd edition is that it was just expanding, making sure that every little bit had its own little special monster, class, ability, what have you. And it seems like 5th edition has definitely compressed everything into sort of more manageable stats. They have been expanding a little bit, which is very, very interesting and very appreciative. But they've been doing it slowly, which I also appreciate because they're sort of slowly getting into the groove. Welcome. Your mic is right there. Just go ahead and clip it.
Do I need the headphones?
No.
Okay. me.
There we go.
Hopefully it doesn't fall off.
Yeah.
I didn't do it that well. Alright, which death-defying thing are you talking about?
What is that noise?
That's the fan. You want me to go turn it off real quick?
Yes, please. I am so sorry. Well, I'll talk a little more about the nomad hags that we had. So essentially what the story was is that they served an Alhoun, an individual who is stuck in the water plane of elemental water plane, and since sea hags can come from either the plane of water or the Feywild, it seems like a very good fitting. It's actually a good tip for any DM who is looking for a way to make a grand big bad baddie or some sort of plot hook. Go to the monster manual or any other monsters, roll a dice or flip through a random page, pick 2 monsters, and see how they would work together. It's a great way to DM and a great way to set up. What do you give me that look for?
I gave you the look because I had a playthrough that campaign.
Well, it's a good way to create sort of a shared bond between 2 monsters who generally would not work together. And it's a fun way to figure out, like, okay, what the hell would a Alhoun and a sea hag, how would that work together? But now that you're here, I'm going to give a few honorable mentions to a couple of hags that we're not going to talk about today. We're just going to go briefly over them and give a brief description of what they are. A bog hag. A bog hag is essentially like a creature that they steal the flesh of their victims, wear it upon themselves, since they do have hideous forms that of green and black. They very much look like if a swamp grew a human being. Yeah. They're ugly, jank beings with sharp teeth and sharp nails. They generally take the form of a young elven woman, which is kind of appropriate considering that hags themselves are still fey. But they were introduced in 3rd edition and 4th edition, but they're not used in 5th edition. And I think because there's the green hag, and that kind of encompasses everything. But we'll talk about her in just a bit. They're generally found in aquatic areas, bogs, mires, swamps, things of that nature. The other honorable mention I want to give a shout out to for hags is, and I'm going to butcher this name, hopefully I don't, is the Henya. Henya.
Henya.
Henya. It actually has the pronunciation here, so it's Henya. Henya. It is a combination of what a hag and a Yuan-Ti is.
Ooh.
And if you don't know what a Yuan-Ti is, it is a snake person. Actually, a race that you can play. Yuan-Ti True Blood, I believe it's called. So essentially, they're about 7 feet long. Of course, that's not their height. That's just them in this sort of snake form. They essentially look like what if a upper body torso of a hag was connected to the lower body, like snake-like structure of a Yuan-Ti. At least the depiction that they have here is unlike a snake, where it generally has to curl around and it doesn't make sharp turns. The Henya has almost like its snake body can do like 90-degree turns, like it snaps, which is very appropriate to.
I like it.
Yeah, which is very appropriate to like a hag's very spindly, striking, very, I don't know, like sharp angled body. We're not going to use her. She was introduced in 2nd edition and 3rd edition, hasn't been used since. And essentially the way they're created is that it's a Yuan-Ti, where they made a pact with dark forces to permanently alter themselves.
Makes sense. I'm trying to figure out where you put the restream link.
Oh, do you want the chat?
Yeah.
I can give that to you. There you go.
Thank you.
Another one shot or a shout out I want to give out to is to the Slate. It's simply called the Slate. It is a shape-shifting hag that wanders into cities, searches for food. However, these creatures, they're small, very small, though they can grow to gigantic. But from what, at least the depiction it shows here, is that they look like halflings. So sort of a small thing that has a.
I was starting to see. You need to show pictures. Show it.
I'll show in the next one. The Shrieking Hag. So the Shrieking Hag is it's essentially like a Tempest Hag. Essentially, at least the depiction that I have here is a hag with its mouth permanently open, long spindly arms that hold a staff, where its hair almost looks like it's permanently being blown by the wind. They are tall humanoids with yellow-brown skins with tough, leathery hands, with talons as hard as iron. And yeah, I mean, these creatures were created in 3rd and 4th edition, and I don't really see how they differ themselves from any other normal hag. So that's why they're just an honorable mention.
Maybe they just wanted to have a lot of types.
I guess
so.
Yeah. I can only assume that they also have maybe some, like, Tempest powers, so they have, like, abilities to control the wind and maybe the weather. Just that sentence is a great way to create some sort of nuisance to a town, you know.
They can control the wind.
They can control the weather. All right, let's talk about maybe some new things before we get into all the numerous different hags that are out there. There is the Hexblood, which was introduced in Ravenloft, and it is essentially a player race that you can play as, where you are almost like you were created through a coven. Here, I'll actually read it for you guys.
Yes, sir.
Hexbloods are individuals infused with Elder's magic, fey energy, and mysterious witchcraft. Some who enter into bargains with hags to gain their deepest wishes, but eventually find themselves transformed. So it is a combination of just fey magic, or just sort of bond. Maybe you have a hag who maybe is a good person and decided to create you, or create you in their own image. Maybe you have a good relationship, like a Baba Yaga type of thing, and Tasha's.
You only had one good relationship with one hag, and nobody even wanted to talk to her other than my character.
Yeah.
And even my character was still like a little PTSD'd.
Since they are a race, they do get some racial abilities. They have Heir of Hags. Well, that was hard to say.
Sounds like you were going to say Heir ass.
Heir of Hags. So essentially, you do have some sort of telltale signs that you've been touched by some sort of magical abilities. You either exhibit these powers via a unusual crown that sort of is attached to your head, whether that is via like permanent like thorn like crowns, or maybe horns that go upwards from your back all the way up. You can let's see here. You can basically it wraps from your temples and goes up from your head into these very visible crown-like abilities or look. You do have some traits. Your walking speed is 30. You're a medium to small creature. You can look at anything way you want. You can maybe be a halfling, Hexblood. Up to you. Let's see here. You have ancestral legacy, where you can replace a race with any lineage. So essentially, you can look like anything you want. Do you have dark vision? You have eerie totem, which is a bonus action. You can harmlessly remove a locket of your hair, one of your nails, or one of your teeth, and the token is imbued with magic until you finish a long rest. While the token is imbued this way, you can take the following actions. You can do telepathic message. As an action, you can send a telepathic message to a creature that's holding one of your tokens. You can do remote viewing. You can, if you're within 10 miles of your token, you can enter a trance as an action, and which lasts for a minute, in which you can see through your token, which is very appropriate because there are things called hag eyes that are very thematic.
It's alright. I'm trying to grab something.
Oh, something fell?
Yeah.
So.
I almost fell out of my chair. That's because I was trying to dodge the cat.
And as a hex, what's called hex blood, you also have hex magic, which means you can cast the disguise self and hex spells with this racial trait once per long rest. So pretty good. That's from the new Ravenloft book. So you can kind of play You can really dive deep
A Hag
into.
Junior.
Huh?
I said you could
What's
play
your
a
humor?
Hag. You could play a Hag Junior.
You can basically play, like pretend you were born of a very famous hag in the woods. You can do that, and that'd be an interesting character, trait. Is that maybe you don't want to play up to it very much, but you can't hide the crown that is over your head. So
Just wear a permanent hat.
yeah, or you do disguise self, and like whenever you interact with someone, you're just like, I hit myself, but you can do that. So there are different types of hags that we can definitely talk about. We were talking about the sea hags, so let's actually talk about that. So sea hags are gruesome-looking creatures, generally having some sort of aquatic theme around them. Whether that means they have constantly growing seaweed that grows out of their bodies, or maybe you can infuse them with some sort of aquatic creature variant, whether they have claw hands, electric, abilities like an eel, or maybe giant teeth like an anglerfish with like a little ball light.
Don't they like naturally have nasty ass teeth?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, your game, your rules, but I'm just assuming that by books and sources, they naturally have ugly ass teeth.
And being a sea hag, they obviously do have an innate swimming movement ability. So unlike other hags where they probably are not very buoyant, sea hags can definitely make use of their aquatic environment.
Yeah, we got that to worry about now. I have cat hair.
These hags are, in terms of hideous beings, they're unbelievably low standards. Appealed to their race. Sea hags are grotesque. They like to devour their victims. Although they have varying heights and big bone, bodies as well as that. They could be big bones as well as scrawny. So they can be as big as like a pufferfish. They can be as scrawny as something tiny, which is befitting of their haggard nature. Their flesh is also rifled with warts and oozing craters.
Yeah.
Their complexion is that of a rotting fish. Generally yellow skin with patches of green, slimy scales, and bony protrusions. Their almost fish-like eyes are seemingly devoid of life, with deep black pupils surrounded by red.
Maybe they're just mad because they're ugly. I don't know. That's pretty gross.
Hags are ugly. Hags are definitely ugly. They do use, like any other hag, they do make use of illusionary magic to disguise their appearance, to hide their ugly visage.
Pull an Ursula.
Essentially, if you were, sailing your sea, on a ship, and you see a very beautiful maiden who is clinging onto the wreckage of a ship.
Maybe just leave her there.
It could be a lot of things. There's a lot of things in D&D where it could be plenty of things. You could end up inviting a hag onto your ship and not even know it.
A hag, a siren, a mer person, Triton.
So while all hags possess an overt sense of beauty, seeing everything ugly, as beautiful and vice versa, they are. Yeah, they feel the same way as most other land-dwelling hags. However, they do have that type of scenario where if they see a damsel or a beautiful woman, as they watch others go amongst their lives, they end up bubbling with jealousy underneath the water as their hate overfills, just
by looking at somebody?
Just looking at someone. They view beauty as ugly. And they're so pissed off about it that they want to end you.
Well,
we were talking about how hags were created, and there's different stories about it. If I was ever going to give a story about a sea hag and how it's created, definitely taking the remnants of bodies or creatures or whatever and putting it into a clamshell, dumping it into the ocean, and letting it stir for however long until a sea hag is born.
ugh.
So it is a very, very cool monster to use in your game.
Yeah, we had too many of them last time.
That's
We
true.
were PTSD with hags and crabs.
Let's talk about green hags.
Is that the new one?
No, well, green hags are introduced in the first edition, third edition, fifth edition. I can only imagine that these, in my mind, are the essential hags.
Oh, good to know.
What do you mean?
Because you're like, this awful thing that's created in this universe. These ones are essential, though.
These are your typical hags.
Okay.
You know, these are the ones, and at least the depiction they have here is a green-skinned elderly woman currently holding a basket of hearts with long white hair that reaches down to her feet, wearing just loose clothing that sort of barely cover what looks like to be a spindly, grossly looking body. Green hags live near swamps, rivers, and anything where a lot of greenery is grown. So you can definitely tell that this took over the bog hag. Since it kind of already covers bogs and swamps and forests and things like that. This is the hag that I can only imagine that she would be the one to give you. This is the apple. This is the White Queen. This is the one to give Snow White the apple and make her fall asleep.
It's kind of funny, though. She was the reverse. I mean, if you think about it. Because, she had the ability to be ugly, but she had the pretty form the whole time.
Yeah.
In theory.
Like, she used disguise self to make herself into a hag.
Yeah.
When in reality, she always was a hag.
But she just wasn't that as ugly.
Exactly.
She was an ugly inside, but, she didn't actually look like that all the time.
And when it comes to depictions, it says here, of all the hags, green hags are the least physically menacing. Their resemblance to regular humans serves them to be more unnerving than imposing. So it's almost like you're not entirely sure. Is this just like a half orc with very low tusks, or is this a green? Like, who is this?
You just probably know that's a creepy looking person.
It's probably just a creepy looking person.
You're like, I'm good. I don't need to talk to you today. I'm out.
Though their typical body figure of that of a withered and hunched female, they can run their entire body of spectrum of body types that stretch into both extremes, both being skeletally gaunt or morbidly obese. Without certain indicators, green hags can appear as simply as humans or human crows, but even in their skilled use of illusionary disguises, they can even hide these little small telltale signs that they are a hag. So green hags, I view, while they're less imposing physically, you don't know who is who.
Well, I think the Disney thing is always that Ursula was a hag.
She's definitely a sea hag because she has the aquatic features of an octopus.
Yeah. Except she was ugly before, inside and outside, and she made herself into somebody pretty.
Didn't she look? Yeah, it's been a while since I watched My Little Mermaid.
Well, she makes deals with people like hags, but then when she realizes that Ariel essentially is getting too close to fulfilling the deal, she was like, yeah, nope, and then turns herself into this girl with Ariel's voice.
And doesn't she enchant?
Yeah, she enchants the prince with Ariel's voice, but it's not hers.
She's such a sea hag. So good. And I definitely would say that the White Queen is such a green hag. She doesn't have the green skin, unfortunately, but she definitely is the epitome of a hag, which is a green hag.
You think Maleficent is a hag, or you think she's just a witch?
Oh.
If we were going off of original Disney.
Going off original Disney.
Original Disney movie, because there's re-editions and new things. I think she's just a fae creature, to be honest.
I would definitely say...
I mean, which hags are fae, but I don't feel like... I feel like she's a fae something, but not a hag.
If we were to convert Maleficent into some sort of D&D character, she's definitely a fae race. So maybe an elf, something along those... Maybe it actually...
Jury gone bad.
I would probably consider her a wood elf. She lives in the forest of this black forest.
And how do you explain these dealies? The horns.
Well, I mean, they're not in the original. It's just isn't it just like a hat? I'm gonna look it up.
She wears it over. She wraps it in black in the original too.
let's see. Maleficent.
But they
original.
never truly tell you if she has horns, but she does have this.
Fuck it. Then she's probably a tiefling. I could definitely see Maleficent as a tiefling. You know, because tieflings, you don't have to have the whole.
You don't have to have heavy features.
No, you can just have 1-2 features, and just having horns.
And her eye.
Yeah. I would definitely say that she's a tiefling who. I would consider her a wizard.
Sorry.
Because she can do polymorph. She can transform true polymorph, transform herself into a dragon.
And she can transform other things into.
She can definitely show herself to have very high magical abilities.
She does have that crow that has a familiar.
She has a familiar. Maleficent is definitely a tiefling wizard. I can definitely see that.
I'm trying to think of who else could be a hag. Sorry, Disney, but
maybe we should. You know,
y'all got some shit going on.
Let's save this for the next Books and Brew. Let's go through all of the Disney villains and see if we can actually track them as a creature or race within D&D. I like this idea. But back to the Green Hags. Let's see here. They generally, when it comes to their original Green Hag vestige, they are normally blemished with warts, exaggerated facial features that are rigid, to be more into a tangled mane of vine-like hair. Most skin is generally moldy olive green to a near black shade of black. Below their eyes, either amber or orange colored. Their eyes are either amber or orange colored, with needle-sharp fangs, as well as pointed claws. So, yeah, and it is very much they are the fairy tale hags, and there's even some pictures here that show like a very beautiful woman dancing with a man, and it says here in the bottom, a green hag dancing with another in a guise of a beauty. And then the next one, it shows that they are bearing this person into a swamp.
Y'all got catfished real hard.
Oh yeah.
Like damn, that's like the worst type.
The crazy thing about green hags is since they are very much in tune with nature, even though it is a perverse version of nature, they can easily make use of the environment around them, either shaping their homes where the area is now infested with strange, gaunt-looking creatures that will attack on sight, to more of an environmental issue where maybe protrusions of vines and other losing my voice. Other spikes. There we go. Could cause harm to anyone who would to venture in deep of a forest or swamp.
So, question. Well, it's more like hypothetical because I always think of weird ass questions to ask you. So, what if somebody that was like, okay, I don't want to say ugly, but that's me, but like thought of themselves as very ugly, went to a hag and was like, you got to make me beautiful, but obviously the hag doesn't see them as ugly. So would that just piss them off and make them something worse, or is it just dependent on how would that work?
I would say yes and no. I think hags are smart enough where they see beauty as ugly, and they are well aware that the general populace see that as beauty. So they go, okay, this beautiful, or this ugly being, wants to become even uglier, but they call it beauty. So I know what they want. Definitely, if you were to make a deal with a hag, there would be either some repercussions unless you have an upper hand on a hag. So if someone were to go to a hag who feels that they're ugly, they'll never be as ugly as a hag, so a hag will see them as still beautiful a bit, or we're getting the wires crisscrossed. But
yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
I'm just wondering if, because you said, oh, well, they see ugly as beauty, if they're going to take that as an insult and be like, yeah, I'll fix it.
Well, I think they would. I think they would go, yeah, all right, you want to be beautiful? I'm going to make you beautiful then.
And make them really ugly?
Well, I think what they would do is they would probably turn you our standard of beauty for a short time. Maybe there'd be a stipulation.
I feel like they would do the opposite, because they'd be like, okay, well, this is beautiful to me. Let me switch, and now you're really
I think the reason why I say that probably wouldn't be the case is because hags are ugly in the inside and outside. The worst way to fuck with someone is making them turn into this grotesque monster in the middle of a crowd, maybe when they're feeling their highest. You know, you're a girl who wanted to be beautiful for a man. You know, obviously there's always some sort of like underlying, you know, selfish reason why you would even go to a hag.
Yeah.
So, you know, you want to look beautiful for a man or for something, and you make a deal with a hag, and she goes, all right, drink this, and you'll be beautiful. You drink it, and you become the most gorgeous woman on the fucking planet. You get suitors from left and right. The entire village is down for you. There's a village dance of a festival going on. You're like, I'm gonna enter in. I'm gonna be seen as the beautiful person I am. And there's the hag just watching in the back with an illusionary magic, just watching until there's the right moment to fucking turn that shit off and turn you into a hag yourself. That's how a hag reacts. That's how a hag, you know, wants to mess with you. Is that, sure, you're gonna get what you want till the right moment.
I feel like they're always portrayed with like deals, unless like they really don't like you, because it's like you either make good on your deal, but there's always a catch, or I take whatever I gave you back and some.
I think when it comes to hags, I'm double checking here,
Hey,
but I think they're neutral evil.
she pulled down the lights.
I'll have to fix that. They're generally neutral evil, so they're not much of a lawful evil creature. So they're not usually going by their.
No, I know. I'm just going off of like yours and Critical Role and like the campaigns that I have watched. It's not so much like I feel like it's semi like Ursula, only because like the goblins had something. If you haven't watched Critical Role, had something on the hag. Don't ask me what the fuck it was, but they had enough leeway to be like, hey, I need you to make good on our deal.
Yeah.
And she was like, all right. Like begrudgingly so, I make good on your deal. We're good now. Leave me the fuck alone. And even when that got addressed in character, like role play, it was like, yeah, all it was I owed them a favor. This was their favor. So it wasn't like anything personal. It was just like, yeah, I had to make good on a deal. Like, what do you want?
There are actually some notable green hags that are very, very interesting. There is the green hag druid, Gartha, and her Tyrannosaurus animal companion.
She has a dinosaur?
No, she has a companion.
You said Tyranna.
Yeah, Tyrannosaurus Rex. She has a companion, T-Rex. Some other notable hags within the D&D world is Nanny Poo Pow, a hag who devoured the entire population of a village.
Kitty.
There is Jenny Greenteeth, a dweller of the Quivering Forest who is responsible for the pact between the forest and the city of Fayin. Mossy Meg, a green hag who terrorized the area around Black Dagger Keep, Black Dagger Keep in the late 1500s, or within DR, which I don't understand because again I don't know the full history of D&D.
Geek does apparently.
But yeah, green hags are I think are the most versatile.
She's grabbing my foot and it tickles. Sorry, we have kids, and sometimes they are very much attention whores. They don't care.
I'm gonna try to fast forward through the next 3. There's only 3 left.
My question is like, how did we go from like so many fucking types, and then they were like, yeah, we're gonna get rid of that shit. Now there's one.
Well, I mean, there's not. There's like we went through like a lot of hags now.
No, I know, but like you said, into 5e, there's only like one general type.
No. What I was saying is that for the bog hag, they combined it and sort of the green hag into just one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No. In 5e, there are different hags. There's the night hag, the green hag, the sea hag, and so many more. But in 4e and 3e, there was also like the bog hag, the hag spawn.
There's subdivisions.
There's basically subdivisions. And I think what 5e did very well is that they were like, okay, there are a little too many here that kind of step on each other's toes.
No.
Why don't we just make it into one per, thing? So there are different versions, but they combined a few and they kind of got rid of a few that don't make sense. Like the UNT hag, you can make that if you wanted to.
I think that's unique though. Like I don't feel like that's stepping on anybody's toes. It's just like a unique creature if you want to throw it into your game.
Yeah. There is the night hags, which are wicked witches that dwell within the lower planes, whose nightmares, minds, and abilities make them appear to embody the ideals of the hag race. They are known for their ability to intrude horrific dreams and harvesting soul larvae. Oh, and for harvesting soul larvae that they use within the Blood Rift and the Nine Hells.
That's comforting.
Depictions: night hags are horrendously hideous beings, unraveling much of their repulsiveness even when compared to most other hags, and they are much more so when it comes to ordinary crones. They are sickly stout with average builds, gaunt bodies. They almost look like small female trolls with strange hidden strength behind their decrepit frame. So they are spindly and small and skinny, but they're strong as fuck. At least the depiction they have here is a night hag who almost has like horn that that sort of come out, purplish skin that looks almost dark to like dark purple with black hair.
Yep.
Yeah, they have like a blue-violet hue to them.
They don't sound as ugly.
They don't.
To see what it looked like.
Here, you can look now if you want.
And they don't sound as ugly. They sure as do look the same as ugly. I feel like maybe the face is more tolerable. It's still creepy looking, but I don't know.
Apologies. Still early in the morning. Still trying to catch my mind right now.
Are you gonna yawn or burp?
I was gonna do both. So night hags have the ability, have numerous abilities at their disposal, much like any other hag. They do have a standard set of magic spells that they can cast innately. For the night hag, they can do Raven Enfeeblement, Sleep, and Magic Missile. In addition, they can do Detect Magic and Polymorph, much like any other hag, in order to take the guise of a female member of any other race, typically in the form of a crow, or if they want to get really diabolical, in the form of a very beautiful woman. They have hideous maws that can transmit a disease called demon fever, in which they can bite. Actually, let's look up demon fever. What the hell can that do? It is a disease transmitted via the bite of a night hag and via the front and hind claws of an abyssal ghoul. It has an incubation period of 1 day, and it is hard to resist. Each day, it can greatly damage the sufferer's health and vitality, making it harder for them to fight off the disease. Essentially, what does it do? Oh, it just keeps on hurting you until you die.
Oh, that's nice. I was gonna say, it just sounds like it makes you sick until you're not sick anyway.
Yeah, it just keeps on making you sick and sicker and sicker and sicker until you just cannot resist and you die.
Lovely.
Being the fact that they are so well endowed with this sort of dream-like magic, they are immune to being charmed, frightened, or they cannot be put to sleep.
Sorry.
That's a word.
Why did my hair down?
Night hags normally keep two powerful magical items with them at all times. These are called charms of blackness, in which they can, create elusive dreams within their victims. And they are generally the ones who are not the ones who walk up to you to fight. They're the ones who watch you while you sleep, and
that's what I need to worry about.
Yeah, they're the ones who watch you while you sleep and sort of weaken you as time goes on.
Would the amulet of protection ward against that?
Amulet of protection?
I think Kara has it. Hold on. It's you've given it to me before in the campaign. It might be something else.
Let's see. Amulet of protection. While you wear this amulet, you have saving throws against death, against effects that turn undead.
It's not that. It's
Oh, I have protection from turning. Never mind.
What the hell? Where is it?
Yeah, apologize. You have to look that up. I do not know. There's some notable night hags.
Oh,
There's
periaptive health.
What does that do? Doesn't that just sort of make sure that
Says
you don't go
you're
unconscious?
immune to contracting any disease while you wear this pendant.
Yes.
If you're already infected, then it removes it.
Yes.
Okay.
It would help.
They're like, nope.
Brith Warit, a night hag whose coven inverted the bone claws over a century ago, and since sold their ritual methods for fortune favors. So in other words, they sold their hag abilities for money.
I mean,
Mad Maggie, a night hag who commanded the Fort Knucklebone at Agnes. I can't even read that one, but there are some formidable and well-known night hags out there.
people gonna have all the bad juju stuff, all the little protection stuff over their beds.
Now I'm gonna butcher this. The next two are, I hope I don't butcher them, but there is the Brahir, also known as the Blue Hag, White Hag, or Winter Hags. These are the Snow Queens. These are the Ice Queens. If anyone has ever seen, I guess, Frozen, she was based off the tale of a Snow Queen who was not a beautiful woman. She was a hag.
Oh, cake.
Is
Is she uglier? I mean, she's smiling. Creepy, like,
they are possibly the most sadistic fae drawn to the frost. The descriptions is that they are wrinkly old women who are gaunt who survive heavy, hard times, sustaining on unedible matter. So they'll eat on bones, rocks, and everything. They have fittingly, they have very pale white-blue hair, as well as skin, like they have died from hypothermia. Their flesh surrounding their muted eyes are dark as hell, and as they were bruised, as well as their voices sound like howling winter winds. They are known to wear ragged blue and gray shawls that they're often carried by gaunt-looking wooden staffs taller than themselves.
Nope.
Winter hags are cruel, and they deprive that cruelty. They want to bring it to you. They do have icy domains, where they will essentially try to, if you ever find yourself lost in the frigid winter, they will try to offer you shelter, but don't take it.
I feel like this campaign is already, I don't know, suspecting of little old people, because the last little old people we were trying to be nice to. Nope.
You were nice to Jane.
No, I said the last, which was that couple, which is really a slad.
Oh, yeah.
So we were just like, nope.
Ugh.
And even then, we kind of questioned Jane a little bit, just because she was a little old lady trekking not an easy path by herself. It was a little weird.
Winter hags have the magical control over their own cold. Their touch can inflict raw frost, and which can be especially painful to beings of fire. And I can only assume if they can, sort of do this permafrost on a person's body. It'd probably be harmful for anyone. A favorite feast of a winter hag is the frozen corpse of their victims.
Oh, fun.
Which is funny because that's much like a white dragon, is they like to eat their victims frozen.
Well.
Let's see here. The sight of such savagery, of seeing a winter hag devouring a frozen victim, stripping of the meat and leaving only their bones. The sight of such savagery is known to inflict numerous conditions over a various period of time, ranging from blindness, psychotic breaks, babbling, fits, and extreme fear.
Guess you just gotta be immune to fear.
Right?
Which isn't really a thing. Unless you're like a legendary beast.
Despite being chaotic crones of deadly magic, the rightful fearful Brahirs are often sought after for their wisdom and prophecies. They are like lone wanderers, having little to no space for community or kinship in their cold hearts. Nonetheless, they are sometimes accompanied by an amount of ice guards, whether that could be in your own, you can have orcish, sort of a clan that follows them, or maybe the natural winter spirits that sort of come with them. So they're actually sought after in some certain ways. So, and I think that's just a way for D&D to make it open for DMs to mix stories.
I'd be like, yeah, I'm not convinced. If you told me all that lore, and I'd be like, we gotta go where and who meet who.
Yeah.
Isn't there an easier way?
I can only imagine that you would go to a hag in any scenario if you were desperate.
Yeah.
And generally, that's what they crave on. Is they crave on the, the desperate nature of a being who wanted to come see them.
Yep. Good.
Oh, they actually have a rumor and legends section here. Much of the truth behind Brahirs are shrouded in myth, partially because of their habit of leaving no witnesses. Their occasional alliances with orcish like beings was a point of contention, but some tales say that she snuck through unlocked entrances to steal children away and is unsuspecting. While it's likely untrue, the cautionary tale keeps children in line and remind people to close their windows at night.
It's bajillion degrees. You want the hag get up in here? No.
Close that door! You're letting all the heat out, and do you want a night hag or a winter hag to come in and steal you? No, mama.
It's like, okay, you either sweat your ass off or you get eaten by a hag.
For reals.
Close this window.
And we have one last one, and we're going to go ahead and finish the stream after this one, but there is the Agnes hag.
Why is Agnes always a witch name, man? I mean, I know it goes back like an actual history.
There's no G. My apologies. Hold on.
Agnes? How's it spelled?
Agnes. It is the Agnes hag. Is the most dreadful kind, spreading fear through fiction and ruling through its own reality. The childlike eating hags were dispute queens of barbarism, combining the wicked cruelty of dark fae with the unbridled strength of evil giants. I would say personally that these are the most disgusting hags so far. They are gigantic, large creatures with bony protrusions that come out. A lot of their limbs don't seem like they match up. Like their shoulders are closer to their chin, while another one is closer to their back. They bend in certain ways with large, thick, muscly arms that go backwards into what looks like to be a large hump with large pustules and humps around their waist, and what they sort of surround themselves in is like twigs and leaves that stick outwards, much like if they were a porcupine, with bones and different skulls of different creatures that are stuck and almost infused into their very taut like skin. You can definitely see that like their skin as well, it almost like connects in different ways where it causes themselves to hunch over as their ears start to meld in with their shoulders.
But ew. It just seems like they're a lump. A miscontorted lump.
At least the depiction they have here is they have one where it's one normal eye with a very large white glazed over eye that almost is double the size of the other. They are the most disgusting versions of a hag.
Oh, I've seen that picture before.
Yeah, they are. I feel like these are the most imposing. Agnes hags are the most physically imposing of their race, standing at 7 feet tall at average. At minimum, actually. Sometimes towering 8 feet tall in height. Defying their stereotype of a withered crow, they are covered in muscular stature, although the nature of their builds vary. Some were described as lean and quick with long, lanky limbs, with others more akin to like orcs.
Oh.
gnarled muscles and jetting bones comprised of hulking frames. As such, Agnes hags generally have hunchbacks with hump shoulders. Still, while that's the case, they are still massive, knowing to weigh around 325 pounds.
Damn.
That's a big bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Their stretched skin covers are covered in scars and blemishes with a black-blue complexion of flesh, which then itself is deeply bruised. Hags are fucking rad, man.
They ugly. They're like, nope.
They have sharp black talons made of almost magical iron that are normally about 3 inches long. Jesus Christ.
I feel like it's very much though a scenario of like either you go to them or they find you. Like you don't just accidentally find one.
Yeah.
You know, like they seem to be secluded for the most part.
A crazy thing about Anis hags is that they have the magical ability to transform their talons or their nails into less of a blade and more into a corkscrew.
Yeah.
That's like if they got you already, they could transform their finger and just like dig deep into that chest.
I'm good. I'm like, just use the shank.
Yeah. While just as intelligent and sly, while just as intelligent as the sly, seductive green hags, who again are a little more magically inclined to like look at like beauties, Agnes hags outmatch them. They can transform in terms of their physical prowess and unwieldy egotism. They can convert themselves into beauties just as well.
Well, I just feel like somebody's gonna get really disappointed if they don't die.
Yeah.
I'm never dating again.
The flesh of an Agnes hag is compared to leather armor, while plate mail durability. Damn.
I'm good.
Holy crap. They also have magic resistance, making them difficult to assault. They do have advantage in all saving throws. Cutting and piercing the skin is ineffective, but as a result of their brittle bones, bludgeoning them is relatively easy.
Really, you gotta hit it. You gotta hit it real hard.
You gotta use it with your knuckles or something. When it comes to combat, they're...
Gotta use a mole.
Those who dismiss the strength obese Anis is as simple savages will make a fatal assumption. Despite being powerful and proud of it, Anis hags shun simple assaults, instead devising and disorienting their enemies before battle in order to defeat otherwise dangerous opponents. Before battle, they'll disguise themselves as a commoner to lower the victim's guard, or using mist to sneak up on their targets. They'll also use fog clouds to bewilder resisting foes or delay dangerous attacks. So if it looks like you're about to kick their ass, they'll just make it so it's hard to see. In battle, an Anis hag favors close combat and grappling, using their unbelievable strength behind their talons and teeth to sink into their victims, continuing to do so until they are dead. That is like, they're basically like a bear.
Or a vampire.
Let's see here. Sprawling of their nails was neither a detriment or boon in combat, but nonetheless discerning to see deep wounds that they leave, while they might train as barbarians or fighters to improve their natural magical skills as sorcerers.
Lovely.
So they can hide themselves as like maybe someone who wants to join your ranks, train themselves as a barbarian or fighter, and they can have those abilities too.
No. Maybe they'll lose some weight.
It's insane to think about. Absolutely insane.
I feel like that's a hag with too much time on their hands. I feel like most of them, like in stories and stuff, like have their own domain. You don't come in here and I don't go out there unless I really want to do something shitty. Like,
hags by nature are generally immortal. They've delved into dark, deep magic that allows them to live essentially forever. So that's the Agnes Hags. Oh, let me double check if there's any like honorable mentions. I definitely want to know if there are like some really well-known Agnes Hags. Gremma, a powerful Agnes Hag who controlled a group of orcs and used and owned a magical cauldron. There is Tana Hagnera, an Agnes who used who acted as a shaman for the leader of the Blue Bear tribe, and who was sought after as she made camp within the grandfather tree. There's a lot of different ways you can use hags.
She doesn't sound bad though. It just sounds like she was part of a tribe and that was it.
The last thing you need to know about hags is that hags generally, as they don't really like to work together, sometimes they will, and they'll can create covens.
Yep.
Covens, whenever that's a 3 or more when it comes to hags. It could be any mixture of hags. It can be a winter hag, a green hag, and a night hag, and they create a coven, or it can be any mixture of either. And they essentially will end up living together, working together to succeed on an overarching goal, whether it's something bigger than what they can do individually. When they do create a hag, or a coven, they do get access to additional magical spells, whether that is increasing their own magical abilities or sharing off the others.
I already had to deal with the coven once. I'm good. I don't want to do it again.
It says here, while hags are generally very strong, they generally have at least one crippling weakness. And it's up to the DM what they would like to give. However, you can definitely, they give you some examples here, is that they would, some giveaways, not weaknesses, but some giveaways is that they smell like something specific. But when it comes to weakness, you can definitely say that they're, afraid of a particular symbol, a particular animal, maybe a particular religion. Maybe a cleric walks in of a particular religion, they don't want to do anything with it, having to deal with any of them, they will hide. So yeah, that is hags.
Nope.
Before we end today, I also want to go ahead and give a quick shout out to those who followed us when we actually were offline. Thank you so much, C317 and CLO. Thank you so much for following.
Thank you.
It is 4th of July, so I'm dating this episode. But please enjoy your holiday, be safe, and for those who do not celebrate 4th of July, hopefully you end up borrowing off hours, the US, and you actually have another day off on Monday. And if not, enjoy your Sunday. I'm tired. I'm gonna get some coffee. Bye, guys.
Bye.